I swear to God, I thought you were a good girl when I met you. And you do have good girl tendencies.
I have tendencies.
You have good girl
It's a
tendencies.
secret no one knows. So now you know.
I did not know, and I am fucking delighted.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for coming back to the Bad Kitty Podcast. We're your host. I'm Jen.
And I'm Amy.
And we are excited to bring another episode of the Bad Kitty Podcast to you. I think this is 6, Amy.
It could be. Feels like it's been forever.
It feels like it's been forever since we haven't done one. I agree. It's been a long time since we've put some content out for you. So we're sorry if you're missing us. We're missing you too. I'm missing podcasting with you.
Mm-hmm.
And my mug says judging you silently. But if I were judging you, it would be out loud.
Right. And I do what I want. And that's the truth.
Amy does what she wants.
What I want.
And I judge people out loud. So,
please be careful. Okay.
So today's episode is about finding joy when relationships end.
Yeah, it seems weird that would work, but it does.
It can.
I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, it can. And we're here to talk about it today. So
that'll be our topic, but we got to do a happy and chappy.
Yeah. So we're going to give you a quick overview of the show today so you know what to expect, because I learned that adult learners like to know what they've got ahead of them. And so that's what I always do. So the overview is, we're going to start with a happy or chappy. We're going to talk about if we're happy or if something is chapping our asses, or both. And then in our second segment, we're going to talk to you about the work of finding joy when relationships end. And I think it's going to be a really good conversation because Amy and I have different experiences with this. And then our last segment, we're going to do something new for you. We're going to read to you from a book called Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism. And this book is by Stuart Brittlestar Reynolds, and it's fun. And we're going to read a chapter to you from that book. So that's what we've got in store for you today. So lock in, grab your cup of tea, and join Amy and Jen as we kick off this episode.
Oh, And I'm still trying to figure out my happy and chappy, so give me a minute.
No problem at all. I'll go ahead and start. And if you don't have one, it doesn't matter because nobody really listens to this podcast and we're just making shit up as we go.
Wrong. You were so wrong.
Really?
I had one of my pals come up to me at the coffee shop and said, I just love it.
Are you telling me that you were at a coffee shop in the wild and a fan came up and talked to you about the cast?
Right. A pal fan, but still a fan, and said the voices are very soothing and she listens to it at night and it helps her to fall asleep. Not that we're boring, but, very relaxing voices. So I didn't mind.
I think we sound like moms. Loving
we've
moms.
Got a few years of experience.
We do, and we are loving moms. And so if you're listening to us and our voices sound soothing to you, I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, so I'm going to kick it off with happy or chappy, and I'm feeling pretty happy today because it's Friday, and I love a Friday, and because yesterday I asked my sister what she was doing. She told me about a little project she was working on, a little patio planning, and asked if I could help. And Amy and I went over, and we spent a couple of hours helping her plan and clean out the area. And then I went back with Brian and we helped her finish it out.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I'll include a couple of pictures here for you to see the before and after. And the before picture is actually after we cleaned the area out. So it's just an empty space. And then we filled that in with the patio. And she was doing it to surprise her husband for Father's Day. And she's going to have a barbecue on Sunday. And so it just felt so good to hear my sister tell me what she needed, to get my friend and go over and be comfortable in her home, be welcomed, spend time with my nephews and my best friend and my best sister, and just spend that time together. And then I went back with Brian and we finished it up with Cindy, and it was just so wonderful. And I texted her last night and asked, hey, how are you doing? Because, after a big day, even if you've accomplished what you wanted to, there can be some, emotions that come up after that. Or maybe the person that you did all this for comes home and they're not as excited as you were expecting them to be. And so I just checked back with her, how are you doing? And she sent me a great selfie sitting outside, enjoying the space. And it just made me feel really, really happy. And that's sort of what relationship feels like to me. It's like, oh, what are you doing? What do you need? And then helping somebody meet that need. And I just feel really happy about that.
Did Patrick see it yet?
Yeah, she didn't want him to see it until it was done.
Right.
And so we hurried up and got it done. And one thing that I'm really happy about is we looked at this space and there was a way to do it really expensively.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can spend several hundred to a few $1,000s cleaning out a little patio area to put your grill. Or you can look at what you have and figure out what you can do that is good enough. It's not going to
Right.
last 10 years, but it's something that will give you a space that's usable. And I think she invested about on getting some additional cement pavers and some additional supplies, but we were able to use what she had. We were able to make it look nice, but the most important thing is that it's functional. We sometimes get caught up in the fun of what it is or the way it looks, but your spaces have to be functional,
Mhm.
especially if you're on a tight budget. Like, if money is no issue, then sure, you can have fun spaces all around that aren't that functional. But when you're still in the midst of raising 4 kids and your husband works all the time and you are a teacher, you just really need functional spaces that work for your family, and that's what we were able to do.
Right.
And I think she spent under $150. Now, we had some materials that we could share with her, but that's mutual aid. It's just family. We had saved an umbrella, that a patio umbrella, that was no longer something that we wanted to use because of the aesthetic that we want to keep up. But my sister's like, I would love to use that umbrella. It's still really red underneath, even though it's faded on the top. And so overall, I'm just saying that sharing the tools and resources and skills that I had, bringing a friend along who makes everything better, and then bringing Brian, who can do literally anything and gets everything done. And it was just a really happy experience. And that's what
Yeah,
I was
that'll
able
be
to
my
do.
happy because I have a few comments on that as well.
Yeah, tell us.
So, um, I'm a very good supervisor. So I did supervise and over the top a little bit.
Hmm.
But when it started to rain, I went inside and guess what I found?
Tell us.
The missing cat,
The missing kitty cat?
Logan.
Logan, the
Yes,
missing
the
cat.
bad kitty for the day
Yeah.
was missing
Hmm.
upon our arrival there. And I went all around the house outside yelling for kitty, kitty. That was part of my supervisor role
Yes.
while you were digging in the
Yes.
weeds.
Yes. Amy was very
Uh,
diligent
I
in her search
right.
for Logan.
So I looked down the deck, and I looked all around the house, and I went in the house when it rained because,
You're made of sugar. You're going to
right.
melt.
And if I don't need to, I'm not going to.
Also, let's just be real. Amy, as anybody listening to this knows, is wonderful. And so she is made mostly of sugar, not 100%. There's a
No,
little bit of salt and vinegar
there's
in
some
there.
in there.
But she's mostly made of sugar, and so we just can't risk letting her get
A
rained
melt,
on.
a
It's just
melt,
not worth
right?
it. Imagine if it melted the sugar parts and all that was left was the salt and vinegar.
There are those days,
But we don't we
right?
don't want that for
Right.
her or us, and so we keep Amy
Protected in the
protected.
house during the light rain. It was never hard. But then I looked to my left, and over comes Logan, the missing cat. So I yelled, I found the cat.
And this was such a welcome announcement because there was fear that the cat had slipped out through a torn screen and was gone. And they live rural. And so they were afraid there could have been a coyote or something. Now, realistically, we knew that there wasn't. But there was one of my sister's 4 sons who was particularly concerned. And so we were all worried for him. And Amy went and found missing cat Logan. I have another little happy that I can loan to
The
you.
cat found us. But, I'll take credit as I saw the cat.
Yeah, Amy identified the cat. But we had another happy. We went on a bike ride.
Oh my gosh. And it rained.
It rained on us, but she didn't melt and she's still sweet.
It was very light rain, I want you to know, but I made it. I might have been able to ride through the full rain, but I would have been pretty irritated.
Yeah. Listen, I want to tell you what is so great about us. And this is another happy, I suppose. This is a gratitude. You told me yesterday we were riding bikes, and technically you should have led because these are your bikes. You know the bikes better. You know the trails better. But you said, Jen, you go ahead and lead. You like to lead. And I do.
And I like to follow.
But then we decided to stop and get coffee. And I went inside, and Amy stayed outside with the expensive bikes. And we had on helmets that are walkie talkies. So we're chatting the whole time. And Amy says, oh, we're going to have to ride home. It's raining. And my inner child brain said, no, I just got a lemon blueberry scone and a hot coffee, and I want to sit down and eat it now.
Right.
And I mean, inside of me, there was a toddler going, I just want to sit down and drink my coffee. Why don't I ever get to just enjoy my coffee at a coffee shop? And then
I'm looking at the radar.
Amy is looking at it. I didn't say a word. I did what she said, and I followed. I still led us out of there because I am in the lead of the bike, but Amy was the leader when it came to deciding about time to leave. And I want to say something about this. I am a good leader. And I know that because I've been successful at leading in corporate America for years, and people told me that I was a good leader. But what I think is the best about my leadership is that when someone else has an area of expertise, I not only let them lead there, I hope they lead there and I listen to their leadership, even when my inner child is going, no. Now, when my gut says no, I don't listen. My gut says no, and I do what my gut says. But when my inner child says, I didn't want to ride home, I wanted to stay and drink my coffee, I don't do that because someone else has more expertise in this area and I'm just throwing a fit.
Right. And it worked out well. We got a little spritz, but it was great.
This is 3 for 3. Amy
Yeah,
has
with the
told
weather.
us
Mhm.
when to leave
In
3
Nashville.
for 3 times, and we have avoided the heaviest parts of the
I'm
storm.
very proud of my weather ability.
Well, I am very proud of your weather ability, but I'm really proud of the fact that we are blending our skill sets. And that's what's so fun about this friendship, especially with our husbands, because it's giving us the opportunity to blend 4 skill sets and learn another way to do community.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was a pretty long segment, but listen, we're fucking happy. I mean, listen, we're freaking happy.
Yeah, and we don't have a time limit. So
No, we don't
as
have
soon
time limit.
as you go, whatever.
Nobody's paying us for
Yeah.
this.
Y- Yeah, you're right. I meant to talk to you about that. So, okay, moving on.
All right. Do you feel like we're done with the happy or
Yeah, we
chappy?
are.
Okay.
Nailed it.
All right. Nailed it. So, everybody, we're just going to take a couple deep breaths. I want to show you how I breathe when I'm getting ready to do something that's challenging. Ready? We're going to take an inhale for a count of 4. With me, go. Hold for a count of 4 and exhale. Hold for 4 and breathe normally. That's called box breathing. You inhale for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 4, you exhale for a count of 4, and you hold for a count of 4.
Yeah,
And that does great things for your brain and body.
I'm all set.
I'm all set too. Okay. So this segment is called Finding Joy When Relationships End. And our last one was Finding Joy in Pride. And there were some heavy moments in that segment,
Sure.
but we talked to you about joy.
Mhm.
We talked to you about finding joy in grief, very heavy at times, but there is still joy to be found. And so I know we can find joy even when relationships end. And we're going to talk to you about that now.
We are
We are right now. We're going to jump right into it.
jumping. Okay, so I have several stories, but I'll start with one. Um, so I had a friend in college that I lived with, roommate, in my wedding and all, and very good friend for many a moon, probably 20, 25 years, maybe something like that. And as you know, we were very much on the same page with a lot of stuff going through all these things with having families. She had kids, I had kids. She lived in the city, so I would see her on and off. But as the years went by, I could tell things were changing. She was becoming politically opposite of me, and I hadn't known that of her in college. She was very religious. Okay, great. I can handle that for the most part. But then, very started getting very judgy of all of my choices, and I was not up for that. So I kind of let a lot go as I usually do, and I just remember to stay away from topics with her because landmines, and she's gonna lose it. And then it came down to basically Vivi. She was not aware that Vivi was trans. I was not going to share that with her because I
Wow.
knew what would come. So she had mentioned that the gay marriage invalidates her marriage. And I'm like, that really doesn't connect. The one doesn't have anything to do with the other. Well, she was not impressed. And, it was getting a little tense. And I could see no matter what happens, I would have to hide Vivi and all of that if I was going to keep this friendship. Well, after a couple thoughts about that, I kind of said, no, I'm not doing that. So I just explained to her that, you know, I just don't think this is working for us anymore. And I'm going to have to let you go, basically. In a nice little email, she got a little testy, of course, and told me to have a lovely Easter. Well, it was a resurrection of me because, I'm like, oh, good, I will have a great Easter because now I don't have this weight to bear and all of this stuff I have to hide from. And, it was sad for a few days because it was a good friendship, I thought. But then I was able to move on and be like, "You've gotta have your space to be you. I don't wanna change you per se, but I'm not gonna keep changing to fit into your friendship." So, I just had to let her go, let the family go. Um, wasn't easy, but well worth it. Mentally, I was able to just be more free, and I was finding joy in that because I wasn't being anchored down anymore from speaking my political views or my thoughts on the community, the LGBTQ community, that I knew she wasn't gonna be happy about. So, I had I had to let that go, and I just found other ways to make myself happy, minus her friendship allows other things in, you
That's
know?
a really great point there. So, first, I want to acknowledge several things that you said. So, this was a foundational friendship. I mean, college roommates, people keep those friendships for
Oh,
life.
yeah, it was probably close to, 25 years.
And so, what I think is really helpful for us to explore in that situation is that you said you couldn't talk about certain topics, you
Mm.
couldn't post on your social media
No,
about certain topics,
I would get called out.
and you were doing that to keep the peace in a relationship.
Yeah, because that's my role.
Right.
I'm very much peacekeeper.
You couldn't express yourself freely
Mhm,
to someone else, and after, really examining that and realizing that not only did your personal values require you to take that stand,
mhm,
your child's identity required you to take that stand.
mhm.
And so if you had been true to the friendship, you would have had to abandon yourself and your child.
Yeah, and that was not gonna happen. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think that self-abandonment is a theme that is very important here, and I don't know about all of you, but for me, it was a heavy realization to realize that every single time I chose someone else's comfort over mine, I was abandoning myself. And that's
Mhm,
not to say that we don't stand to allow someone else to sit, because I can choose to stand and recognize that standing on a bus so that someone who needs to sit can sit is not abandoning myself. That might
mhm,
be, abandoning my comfort, but this is not the same. Amy's identity required her to live according to her values.
mhm.
And she was in relationship with someone that didn't allow her to do that. And so that requires you to abandon yourself.
Right, because then I'm just accepting everything for her and letting her be herself, but then where do I fit in? Because, you're not letting me express my stuff, my thoughts, my things.
Yeah. And I mean, that is an unhealthy dynamic. It's kind of an unsafe dynamic if the person has any sort of like actual power in your life.
And so what it did for me is I was free. I'm like, "Oh, good. I don't have to worry about upsetting this person. Yay."
Did you
So
unfriend her on
oh,
socials?
yeah. And, I had nothing to do with any of that part anymore, and I was able to just post things I wanted and talk about things that were important without having to worry about getting a call or an insult online. And there's another 160 pounds I lost, by the way.
Hmm.
I, had to let her go after 18 years. I finally just said, "Look, I can't be the friend that you need right now because it's just not working. I can't do this." And so I hung up, and I guess it was over because she never checked back. She never wanted to know if I was okay. But since she never checked back, I thought, well, that's good.
So tell me about this one. So the first one was a values misalignment that was self abandonment. This friend, what was it about this friendship that was too much?
There's a lot. One was the religion. She's very religious. More power to you. I have some belief system, but I don't go around making sure everyone's following the belief system. And that is all that this person could manage just every day, all day. Okay, that was a lot, but I was working with it. Again, not really being who I can be because they did not approve of my child when I asked, "What do you think of this cute Vivi picture?" She was all dressed up, fresh haircut, and all she said was, "Oh, I love the new do." Okay, that's great. You never said how beautiful or she looks great. Um, what I kind of caught on without coming out and asking her was that she does not approve that Vivi is Vivi instead of Vivi being their other name. And so I'm like, I asked her a few questions about it, and basically she avoided answering it. So that was the lead up.
Mhm.
I was becoming more aware that I can't post what I want. I can never tell her how I feel because it's not going to work. I'll get a Bible reading. So then she was getting very controlling towards the end. It was kind of weird. She was mad if I was in my living room sitting on the couch talking to her, and then maybe Matt says something and I answer him or I correct the dog, whatever. And she'll be like, "You're not listening." Well, I am listening, but sometimes I don't always remember because I have a lot going
I'm
on.
living my life
I'm
and talking to
trying to
you.
live, right. So we had arranged that I would talk to her. She said, "You really need, like I do, you need to go in a room and shut the door and only focus on talking on the phone." Hmm. Oh, this woman had also told me that I was too spread thin and needed to start leaving some groups. Okay. So I considered it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do because she's saying you're just too scattered and you can't, I basically I wasn't paying enough attention to her. So I was considering it and I started stepping back from a few things and I said, I'm just gonna, do it at my own pace because I'm too scattered and I have too many forks in the fondue pot.
I wanna make some fondue, that sounds like
Yeah.
fun. Could you make
And
a note for Matt?
I will
"Maddie, this is for you. I would like a fondue night." Go ahead.
check. So I just started realizing she was trying to control aspects of me, what I was doing, who I was doing it with, and that I should only talk to her in a room with the door closed, focused on her. And one day I called her to arrange this 12 o'clock phone call we were going to have. And I said something, and she could hear a tearing in the background. I was doing a hands board for the Unity Fest. I don't know. I talk and I do stuff. That's how I am. And she said, I hear that you're doing something. And I said, yeah, I was putting a letter on the board. Oh, I forgot. I forgot. I'm sorry. Let's just go in the room. By this time, I'm getting very shaky and emotional. I said, oh, let me go in the room. And she's like, no, no, if you're busy, it's. And I'm like, oh, okay. I closed the door. I said, okay, I'm in here now. It's fine. And then after a second, I said, this is really upsetting me. I said, I try to be what you need and I can't. I think we need to move on from this. And then I basically just let her go because it hit me how much control she had over me at the end. And I thought, this is out of control.
Yeah. You kinda
So
woke up in that
I
moment.
did. I think Matt had seen it and my other friends had seen it, but I was just, I'm trying to make it work. And so I just walked away, sat for a few minutes, not really very long, especially after she never checked back to make sure. Are you sure? Are you okay? Nothing, not even a text. So
And
I
you
said,
were upset by the
I
situation,
was,
so
I
you
was
were
shaking,
yeah.
shaking, and I was crying. And I'm like, well, man, that's over. And he's like, what? And so I said, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to be controlled and told to go in a room, sit there with, only me. Nobody does that. She did. She said she did. She did not. She talked to me while she's shopping. She talked to me when she's driving, when she's working at a house. So why do I have to go in and sit in a box and listen to you talk? Well,
Because your friend had some need that was unmet, and she expected you to conform to her needs to
mm,
meet, her
it's
unmet
not
needs.
going to happen. And I loved her family. I do love her family. I think, the kids are great. They're awesome. And so I lost that, but I was okay because I'm like, we weren't that close anyway. But I always say I am 160 pounds lighter now. And Matt says, maybe 170. Mm.
I went off my GLP-1, so I'm, putting my weight back on, but did you know that staying chubby is an act of resistance when the, culture expects us to all be skinny? So,
Oh, good.
I'm embracing it.
So those are mine too. And I found joy because I was no longer tied down to trying to accept religiosity and being perfect for all these people. And it's happened in other situations, but nothing as drastic as that. So it's joy because I can allow other great things and I can be myself. So,
That that's the biggest thing I think is that you realized that what this person was expecting of you required you to abandon yourself,
yeah.
and you weren't willing to do it.
No, I tolerate a lot. But then if I'm just too much for you, I'm going to be me. I'm not going to be what you need me to be.
And if somebody was concerned about you, it's not saying you do too much. It's how are you? What do
Right.
you
Oh
think?
my
It's
gosh.
not doing less so that I can have more. It's doing
Mhm.
less so you could have more.
Right.
And so that's not a friendship
Mm-mm.
that's worth nurturing. We all make mistakes in life, in relationships, but this is a repeated pattern that requires self abandonment. And that's the theme that hits the hardest for me is that I have abandoned myself all throughout my life, thinking that it was my job to adjust myself to other people to make the relationship safe for me.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, my entire life. And so
Mhm.
I'm in a bit of an overreaction period. So I can't even count the number of relationships that I've ended and that other people have ended with me. But I think now that I've learned about the idea of self-abandonment, it really hit me hard when I
Mhm.
recognized that I was truly abandoning myself. And when I think about myself, I think about this inner child, this little child that I'm abandoning every time I strive to meet the needs of someone else that go against my own well-being. And so I don't do that anymore. And it has caused so many rifts in my life. But after every one, I feel freer,
Mhm.
even though my mind still goes over it. And so
Yeah.
let's get into it. I have lost friendships that have, like, I lost a friendship last year that had existed since my, junior high. And what happened was I just suddenly one day realized that this person doesn't know me. I overshared and I over solutioned in a way that made her feel like I was solving a problem she didn't ask me to solve. And I totally understand those are valid feelings. And I did. I was giving my trauma story to someone who's known me since seventh grade to relate to what her child was going through. And she didn't appreciate that. And she sent me a message to let me know that. The message might have been just a direct communication to someone else. To me, it was like rejection.
Mhm.
And it felt like a slap across the face.
Right, because 'cause you're primed for that kind of response.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I am. So that's what it felt like. And I said, I understand what you're saying and I won't do it again. And our friendship ended. I have some regrets about that because her mom was dying of breast cancer and her mom had been an influence in my life. And so I didn't know how to handle it when her mom died.
Mhm.
Before her mom died, it was her birthday and she asked for people to send cards and I did. I painted a card and sent it. And I believe that her mom saw that. But when she died, I didn't know what to do because my friendship had ended. And so I believe that anything that's done for a burial is done for the living, not for the dead, for the living. That's my belief system. And I have this habit of showing up in ways that make that friend feel burdened in some way. And so I just did not know what to do. And so I did
And it
nothing
was a woman you had known and been
since, yeah,
around.
her mom. I
Mhm.
had known her mom.
Right.
But again, I sent a card when her mom was sick. And
Mhm.
so I expressed what I needed to express. And so I didn't go. She
Yeah,
then,
and that's important. You had already said your goodbye, basically.
mhm.
So
And don't misunderstand. Her mom wasn't like, I mean, I didn't invite her to my wedding or anything like that. She was just a friend's mom from my childhood. And I was reaching for parenting. I was
mhm,
reaching for mothering. And so she probably had a bigger impact on me than I did on her, you know?
mhm,
She doesn't care about my goodbye mind, but I sent her a card and let her know what
mhm.
she meant to me. But when it came time for the actual funeral, I didn't go. And it was because I felt so rejected by that. Well, that might have been the right thing. I don't know what it was, if it was the right or the wrong thing, but that friend unfriended me after that. So it let me know, how she felt about it. So there was so much complexity there, but I felt rejected and then I didn't go back to repair. And yet going back to repair would have felt like the biggest self-abandonment because this is who I am.
Mhm.
And that's the stage that I've come to now is that I'm probably not for you because I'm not for most people.
Right. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I told you that over and over and over again. And it
Mhm.
turns out I am for you. Thank God.
Funny.
But I'm really not for most people. And so I've started delighting in that. In the past, I found such shame in that. And so I would abandon myself to try to be the right thing for all
Right.
people.
Right.
And so I don't think I've been a peacemaker, but I've tried to be a problem solver. Like
Definitely. Sure. I see that.
if I can fix something, you'll value me.
Mhm.
And so I said that all through my jobs, like my careers. And, are you a fixer? Are you a builder? Are you a maintainer? Well, I'm a fixer and I'm good at it because I've spent my life being hyper vigilant and trying to decipher meanings. And so, I've lost many relationships. That's just the one that came up in mind. I'm not in relationship with my parents, with, my aunts, um, a cousin who said that gay marriage devalues his Christian marriage. I
Mhm.
I tried and tried and tried to talk to these people about what was right and what was wrong, like morally. And then I tried talking to them about what's right civilly. Like civil rights have nothing to do with anyone's religious beliefs. They have to do with equal rights. And yet in this country, they are limited by religious views. What I'm trying to say is that with my family, especially, I tried pleading to their sense of morality. This is what's right, equality. Then I tried pleading to their sense of justice, like civil rights transcend religion because religious views differ. Even within Christianity, religious views differ. So, which version of Christianity? And so, I tried pleading to them from a civil rights perspective. That didn't work. And then I said, please, my child has come out as trans. Please just accept that even if you don't understand, my child needs full rights to live and exist as they are. And they never stepped up.
Mhm.
Their answer is, well, we love Grayson. Loving my kid is the least you can do as a family member. I mean, I was raised that family is everything, blood is thicker than water. Don't abandon your family. Your family will do for you. Family does for family. And then I said, okay, everybody, I have this kid who says they're trans and I just need everybody to love them and help me help them. And they said, well, we do love them, but there's nothing we're going to do about it.
That's what
Actually was
someone said.
literally told that my dad said, I don't know what you wanted me to do. I'm not going to hold a sign.
Right.
Another time he said, Grayson exists. He's in New Orleans right now. And the thing is, trans people exist. What that means is that they exist as trans people. They were born with their identity, with their genetic code, and they are trans people. And so I know that my child exists in the world, but I'm saying that they exist as a trans person and they need to have rights that are protected.
Mhm.
The thing is that I never felt an ounce of support for the bigger picture of needing to help my child be able to survive and thrive. And so those relationships felt really unsafe to me. And then I thought I could still, like, I was still in relationship with all of them. I would see them wherever I saw them and I would talk to them and sometimes have lunch with people. And I was really trying. And then when Trump was elected again, I just couldn't do it anymore.
Right. That's when you said, I got to break free.
I did.
Got to
And
break
I haven't
free.
talked to my mom since November of 2024. And
And it's freeing for you to do that and feel some joy. There's deep regret losing that relationship, I'm sure, and the ability to have a connection. But it was so much weight to carry that these people were not supportive.
you're right. The way that I find joy in the loss of these important relationships is to know that I'm no longer abandoning myself.
Mm.
And that is a deep joy that I don't know how to describe and I've never felt before.
Mhm.
And so the child inside of me still says, Father's Day is Sunday. Are you going
Mhm.
to see daddy? What are you going to do? But I'm a mature adult now and I know that I am honoring myself and I am not abandoning myself anymore. And so that is how I find joy in it. Now, it is really hard. People make posts and comments about how it's Father's Day and I don't have my dad. And I feel so sorry for those people who are missing their parent on those days and every day. And I have a dad and a stepdad, and I know that they love me. I have no doubt that they love me. It's just that the way that they show love doesn't feel safe to me. That's it. And so feeling safe is so important to me because of my traumatized childhood. My nervous system is traumatized. And so I've got lots of coping skills. The breathing technique I showed you earlier, I've done lots of therapy, EMDR, art therapy, all sorts of things. I've done aversion therapy to overcome the fears that were instilled in me from conservatism. I worked hard to overcome all of those things so that I can enjoy my life, but I miss having a dad. I wish that I could enjoy a relationship with a dad, but it doesn't feel safe to me. And the reason it doesn't feel safe is because I experience my parents as traumatized individuals, and the way that their trauma sparks mine feels really uncomfortable in my body. And I don't even show up as my authentic self. I try to fawn. Let me fix you. Oh, you have a problem with your social security? Let me help. Oh, your health is failing? Let me help. Oh, you had this health problem? Let me help.
Never heard the fawn.
Fawn. So there's three responses to stress, and it's flight, fight, or fawn. And fawn is people pleasing.
Oh, fawning over someone.
How this plays out for me is I fawn, like, "Can I help you solve all your problems?" "Oh, you think my son did bad things when he was a teen and took money and things he shouldn't have taken? Here, let me give you $10,000, and now will you treat me well?" And so that's fawning,
Okay. Yeah, and that's a lot of work.
and that's my whole life.
Yeah, that's a lot of mental work
Yeah,
to do all
I
the
mean it.
time.
My whole life has been trying to fawn, to show you how I'm valuable, to help you solve problems in your life so that you wanna keep me around. And then I fight. So then I turn and say, "All right, can I be so for real? This is what's happening here."
Mhm.
And I wanna say this, I don't think I'm wrong. Like, I think I've done enough work that I'm like, "Let me diagnose you, okay?" The thing is, that's fighting. Regardless of what my intention is, I'm then fighting, right? I'm fighting for my position, and then I flee, right? And then I'm like, "I can't do this with you anymore, stop calling me," or whatever. The thing is, I'm not doing that anymore. I
Mhm.
stopped calling. I told my mom, "Please leave me alone," and she has done that, and I
Mhm.
hold no ill will. There are other estranged children who feel ill will that they've told their parents, "Hey, leave me alone now." And they feel ill will that their parents have left them alone. And there are some people in the mental health space that call that abandonment. I don't, but I'm not sure that I'm right. I know my mother loves me. It's just that the way that she is able to love me doesn't feel like love to me. And in the past, it felt like the only love I knew. But now that I love myself, that type of love doesn't feel safe, and I'm not going to go back for it anymore.
Mhm.
And so since November of 2024, when I told my sister from my mom's side, "Please leave me alone. Everything you've said about me is right. I don't have like the trauma as severe as yours. All I care about is myself. I'm not a good person. I need to quit my therapy doctor and find Jesus. Everything you've said about me is right. Now leave me alone, please. I have nothing left to explain to you." But the truth is for me that I still miss them. Amy talked about those people and feeling like she's found freedom, and
Yeah.
I do too,
Mhm.
but mine comes with a cost because it's Father's Day and I'm not going to a
Right.
barbecue.
That connection, that tether. I could sever those tethers because they weren't family. So
Mhm.
it's a difference.
It's very different, and, I feel all the time like I'm the problem, it's me. But I am. I was the first child born to teenagers, and they divorced before I was 2 years old in 1970s when people weren't divorcing as often as they are now, and I always went back and forth between 2 homes. I never felt connected to anyone. And those things are true. And, I have an aunt who confirmed for me that it makes sense that I have what's called mother hunger because I was neglected in infancy. Having that confirmed was like validation and very shocking to my system.
Because she saw it, right?
She
Isn't that
saw it.
yeah.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
was a mid-teen when I was born, and so she saw it. And so I remember saying to her, "I found this book called Mother Hunger," and she said, "Oh, well, makes sense." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, you were neglected."
And you hadn't really known the level at that point.
Yeah, my mom had told me stories and my aunts told me stories about my mom. So I've always known things, but I never really had that definition. And then I had another aunt, same side of the family, who said, "I'm sorry for abusing you all those years. You're right. I abused you, and it's because I was traumatized because I lost a child very traumatically, and then you were born first, and I resented you, and I'm very sorry." And I forgave her and accepted that as a validation of my experience. And then her sister said, "You weren't abused." And so then after the abuser apologized, a sister was scapegoating. And I mean, I'm just telling you, like every single relationship in my family is about me being the problem, and I am. The thing is, when you can't start a holiday until Jenny gets here at 1, that's a problem. When you can't have a celebration on the weekend you wanna hold it because Jenny doesn't come until the next weekend, that's a problem, and it damaged our family.
Oh, because you were only there on weekends.
Yeah, I was
So
only there every other weekend. Back in the
mhm.
day, you're with your mom all the time, and
Right.
then you visited
And
your
so that
dad's
would build
family.
resentment for the people who live there all the time
Right.
or, expecting you to be there and was out of your
Out of my
control.
control. I'm a child, but,
Mhm.
I'd go home and my mom would say, "Did your dad send a child support check?" But
It's
spoiler alert, my dad
terrible.
never sent a child support
That is
check.
such a burden.
And then, when I was 14, she took him to court and said, "Okay, you don't have to pay child support anymore, but Jenny, you don't have to go see him." Well, then when I turned 16, I drove down there to see them because they had my little siblings. They had 3 little kids that were my siblings, and I was close to them, and
I
so
wonder if she was setting up a roadblock.
yeah, she
Yeah,
was. She was
yes.
hoping that I would not want
Would
to see them
not.
anymore. And, my mom changed my last name when I was 5 years old to her new husband's last name, and I have a dad. And so I am the problem, but, like, if you could understand the way that I was socialized, you might understand why I'm like this prickly little peanut who says everything's a problem for me. But listen, like, the reason that I've been so successful truly is because I've worked so hard to overcome all these things. So over my life,
Mhm.
I have had unsafe relationships with just about every caregiver I've had. Every
Mhm.
parent, and I've had 4. I've never had a safe babysitter. My sister was molested by the babysitter's brother. I was molested at a lake where we were left unattended, and so I've literally never been safe. And so now my healing message is I am safe with me. So when I went to EMDR, I had the message first, I am innocent, trying to connect with the inner child who doesn't owe my parents parenting, right? Parenting my own parents. And so my healing message is I am safe with me. I am safe with me. And now I have a few relationships where I am more safe, but the universe keeps teaching me I am safest. I am truly only safe with me. And that is okay because if the universe brought me someone who made me truly safe, I would stop the work of making myself safe with me.
That's a very good point. Then you wouldn't have to worry about that aspect anymore, and that's not who you wanna be.
That's right. And I
Mhm.
want to say that again. If I only had easy relationships right now that gave me everything I needed, I wouldn't keep working to make sure I know I'm safe with me. And I know for sure that my work right now is to learn that I am safe with me. Listen, I'm only going to be 55. I might actually have 40 years left to live.
Mhm.
I do not want to live that time feeling like I need someone else in order to feel safe. Now, this may not resonate with many of you. This may not resonate with Amy because Amy is a securely attached person. Amy is securely attached to her maternal caregiver. She was securely attached when she was born, and I was not. These are 2 very different examples of what happens when relationships end. For one person, it was like, oh, whew, I feel better. And then she continued with that, reinforced that message, and she feels fine. I am not a securely attached person. I'm an anxiously attached person, and I did not have my needs met by my caregiver. And there isn't a relationship that I have ended that I don't think about and wonder what I did wrong. There
Mhm.
isn't a single relationship that I have ended and I haven't thought, should I reach out? Should I just should I just reach out? Practically every day. And so that's why I need therapy. And that's why I've done a lot of therapy. That's why I have all the tools and techniques that I have. I was a child who was conditioned to meet the needs of adults. And so now I still feel conditioned to meet the needs of other people, but I'm learning that I am safe with me. And in order for me to be safe with me, I have to stop abandoning myself. And there is joy in that. Now, I want to come back to this idea. Our podcast is about finding joy. So, finding joy when relationships end can be very different for you, but these are 2 different experiences on how we find joy when relationships have ended. For Amy, it was having more time to explore new relationships.
Mhm.
For me, it's realizing I don't have to abandon myself And when I do abandon myself, I'm I'm not as safe with me. And so I am learning how to never abandon myself, how to enjoy relationships and repair relationships when they have problems, because all relationships do, and it's working. And I find great joy in that.
Yeah, because those skills are helpful. And then, when you can look back and realize that you did everything you could that you wanted to do without ruining who you are, that
Yeah.
helps.
But it still comes down to the question of, do I send a Father's Day card?
Right. You were talking about that, which that's really very personal and
It's so hard
yeah.
because my father loves me in a way that is not comfortable for me. And so
Mhm.
I know that his level of maturity is different than mine. He has said to me when I am trying to talk to him about things from my childhood, "This is too much for me. I can't take it." He has
Mhm.
said those words. I'm his child trying to talk to him about things that happened to me in my childhood. Why I'm afraid of guns? Well, there was a gun fired in my house, and all I could think of was that we were going to get in so much trouble. And I was talking to my dad, who didn't live with me, about that. And he said, "This is too much. I can't take it." And I do understand. It's just bullshit. And I've never had a single parent who could be there for me. And so I just can never figure out where to stop. I I I am a parentified child, and what that means is that I was a child who was conditioned to meet the needs of adults, and I don't know the answer because it doesn't hurt me to send a card, and if I do, he'll say thank you and we'll move on. It's just nothing feels authentic in that encounter, and authenticity is critical to me, but it isn't to him. So do I do something in service of him, knowing his maturity level is different, his intelligence level is different, and he will appreciate receiving it, even though it feels a little bit like abandoning myself because he hasn't called me once. He hasn't texted me once. I stopped working in June of 2024, and everything we did after that, I invited him
Right.
weekly to go to lunch, to go for a walk, to do something. And then when I stopped, we just didn't see each other. And so I'm not asking for an answer. I just want you to know that I am a person who ended these relationships to discover and protect myself. And yet, every day for me is a question of, should I reach out?
Right, which is why I said that's a level that I can't answer for you because it really is personal
Yeah.
choice and decision, and it's a no-win either way.
It's
Mhm.
also a no lose either way, because what am I losing? This is me, this is my existence. And so another part of my brain, because remember, I do parts therapy, which is internal family systems by Richard Swartz. Internal family systems is a wonderful therapy modality. And so here's what I do. I sink into my gut and I ask my authentic self, do you want to send a card? And I do. I do, because it'll make him feel good and it doesn't make me feel bad. And so at this stage in my healing, I want to send the card.
Mm.
And so I'll probably paint a little something and send a little card, and that's it.
Mhm,
I did
mhm,
ask my sister, and she's having a barbecue, and he's coming over, and it does matter to me that he is seeing his other children
mhm.
because he has a different relationship with them. I was the firstborn. He didn't have another one for 7 years, and he had his next 3 kids, his only other 3 kids, with one woman.
Mm.
And so I also wanna say to you all, as you have listened to me talk about this for these, minutes, I want you to consider that unwanted babies should not be born, okay? Unwanted babies should not be born. Why should I have to go through this? Why should my son, who was conceived in a relationship that was doomed from the start, and he has suffered so much? My oldest son has suffered just so much from the genetic mix that he has. And I really mean this. Children who are coming into a broken situation and they are not wanted at that time by that pregnant person should not be born. And that is a hard thing to say, because do I think I shouldn't have been born? Do I think my son shouldn't have been born? You can take from this message whatever you want to hear. I wouldn't exist if my mother had made a different decision. My son wouldn't exist if I had made a different decision. And does that clench at my mother's heart? Of course it does. But what I'm saying is, my baby shouldn't have had to suffer for the trauma that his parents endured and hadn't healed from at the time of his conception. And so hear me when I say, I love my son and I love myself, but I wouldn't exist if my mother had made a decision that was right for her at the time, which was abortion. And my son wouldn't exist if I had made the decision that was right for me at the time, which is abortion. This is a very hard thing to say. But I carry the trauma of my two parents that wasn't healed at the time that they conceived me. My son carries the trauma of his two parents that wasn't healed at the time that we conceived him. My son is 10 years older than my youngest child, and that youngest child got a different mother, and they are thriving despite significant challenges. My middle child is my stepson, and he got a better version of me than my oldest son because I was more healed, and that child is thriving. And so my oldest child who has done things, his actions have victims. He has suffered so mightily from the lack of love from his father, from the scattered emotionality of his mother. And I mean it, everyone. Unwanted babies should not be born. Let me wrap it up. That was a lot. And I hope that the friend who told you that she found this podcast soothing and relaxing was able to make it through, because that was a lot. But mostly I hope that anyone listening who may have similar experience to Amy or to me heard something in this discussion that you can use, that maybe you can say, I actually can't be myself in that friendship. I actually can't post what I want to post because of that person. And this doesn't work for me. So now I want to give you a couple of tools on social media. Facebook is the one I know the most because I'm a Gen Xer, but on social media, you can put people in different categories. So on Facebook, you can put people in a restricted category and they only see your posts when you make them public. And so let's say you don't want to unfriend someone because of all the cascading problems it could cause in your own mind. So instead of unfriending them, you can put them into a restricted status in your Facebook friends list, and they only see what you post publicly. Now,
It's through the privacy and settings button.
that's right.
Okay.
You can also Google that. You don't have to go look for it on Facebook because they make it hard. Google how to make a restricted friends list. But you can put people in those groups. Now, anybody can screenshot something and show it to somebody so they can still figure it out. But if you are giving up your own self-expression and your own identity to keep the peace with other people, then you are doing what is called self-abandonment. And as we now know, that causes autoimmune diseases. So stop that shit. We are now on to segment 3 of the podcast, and it is a new segment, and it is where we are going to read to you from this book, Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism. You're going to be the cigarette smoking cat. I'm going to be the lounging cat. So that seems pretty backwards. Did you ever smoke in your life? See, I did. So do you think
We should flip flop. I'll be the lounger, and while you're reading, lady.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can smoke as I read. So this book, Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism, is by Stuart Brittlestar Reynolds. And chapter 1 is Stay Nimble and Unpredictable. Cats never let anyone know where they'll be next, and neither should you. Fascism thrives on predictability. Confuse it by unexpectedly launching onto the backside of a chair, then rappelling down the curtains. Cats are masters of unpredictability. One minute, they're curled up on the couch, radiating serenity, and the next, they're perched on top of your fridge, judging you for your life choices. You've made terrible choices, and cats know it. Surely you can turn the tables and attempt to apply some judgment on them. No, you can't, you idiot. Another terrible choice. Their secret? They never let you know their next move. It's a strategy we can all use, especially against fascists who, let's face it, aren't exactly the brightest bulbs in the Mar-a-Lago chandelier. Fascists thrive on predictability because their entire system is built on their illusion of control. They like to imagine themselves as chess masters, but in reality, they're more like toddlers playing checkers, eating more pieces than they move, insisting the rules change whenever they're losing. Their big weakness? They can't handle surprises. Nothing derails a fascist faster than something that isn't in the Project ID 10T handbook. So be like the cat. leap wildly from the couch to the bookshelf, not because it makes sense, but because it doesn't. Fascists hate that. They'll stand there red-faced and sputtering, going, "Wait, why are they on the bookshelf? No one's supposed to be on the bookshelf." Their entire strategy is based on assumptions. And when those assumptions don't pan out, they're left scratching their heads like they just tried to use MAGA as today's Wordle guess. And they can't figure out why the enter button doesn't seem to work. It doesn't take much to throw them off. Start a pottery class. Host a 3 a.m. ukulele jam session. Show up to their rally dressed as a lobster, handing out pamphlets titled Fascism, not even once. They'll be too busy trying to decode your motives to remember what they were even trying to control in the first place. Fascists, bless their little hearts, aren't great at nuance. They think in straight lines and clear categories, which is why they can't handle anything outside the box or inside it. If you're a cat, by simply refusing to behave predictably, you're sending them into a meltdown. Wait, they were supposed to be in the park protesting. Why are they painting murals of tap dancing penguins on abandoned warehouses? Is this resistance? Yes, dear leader, it is, and you'll never understand it. At the end of the day, your unpredictability isn't just a tactic, it's a statement. Fascists want the world to be dull, gray, and easily managed. Cats know better. They know life is best lived as a series of bold leaps, questionable decisions, and a healthy dose of chaos. So channel your inner feline, confuse the fascists, and if all else fails, knock a few vases off their metaphorical tables. They'll never see it coming. That was a chapter out of Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism. So fun.
great.
I love the Mar-a-Lago
Oh
chandelier.
my God, I cracked up.
I love the MAGA on Wordle because it's
Yeah,
4 letters and Wordle
I didn't even
is.
play the game, but I
Yeah,
know.
everybody knows.
And
So
then the other one that I cracked up at ID10T. Matt says it all the time.
Project ID10T.
ID10T.
If you
It's
don't know what that is,
awesome.
write it down. Go ahead right now. Get your pen and paper. We'll wait. And ID10T spells, say it with me, idiot. Instead of saying Project 2025, we're going to say Project ID10T. This book is available at Left Bank Books in St. Louis. You can also shop there online. And if you have a local independent bookstore, check it out there as well. This is just a fun book that my kid picked up, and I thought we would bring it to you as well.
Brilliant. We're going to need the sequel of that or something.
Oh, yeah.
He has an Instagram page.
He does.
So I'm
It's
gonna have him
Stuart.
start working on part 2.
Stuart Brittlestar Reynolds is his name.
Find
And
him at Brittlestar. Is it Brittlestar?
I think it is at Brittlestar.
At Brittlestar on Instagram. It's great.
I want to wrap up by saying this is how I find joy. I read little books. I talk to people who really love me. I show up for my sister when she needs help building a patio. I come to my friend's house. I go places and do things even when it feels hard. I have all of the problems that come with a childhood of trauma and a lifetime of trauma. And I still show up and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a choice. Now, there's a lot of privilege in that. I have a nervous system that is dysregulated a lot of the time. And so I work to regulate it. But I'm not experiencing poverty. I'm not experiencing racial discrimination. I'm not experiencing food insecurity. And so I really want to point out the privilege that I have to explore these themes. And I do recognize that working on awakening is not for everyone. I realized recently that our job as humans is to self-actualize. You know, if you remember the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you got those basic needs, and then at the top, it's self-actualization. I really think that our opportunity as humans is to rise up and become self-actualized. And that is my goal, to self-actualize. And so I know that the universe is teaching me that even with people who love me and accept me just as I am safe with me because I can give me what I need all of the time. And someone else needs to give themselves what they need. And so someone else, no matter how safe they are for me, can't ever always give me what I need because they have different needs because they're a person. And so if I trust and believe that I am safe with me, that I don't need other people to be safe for me 100% of the time, they get to be who they are. And that is my healing message. And so every time the universe brings me another opportunity to learn that lesson, at first I hate it and I get all upset because that's my conditioning. But then I work through it and I get enlightenment. And that's my learning. And I choose enlightenment. I choose awakening. And I choose self-actualization. But I know that if my basic safety needs were not, I would not be able to self actualize. People everywhere do not have what they need. I don't expect everyone to do this work because I can tell you it's very hard. And the reason I'm able to do it is because I work to build a life for myself where I could do that. And so I am grateful to past Jen for the work I've done, but I recognize that I had privileges that allowed me to be able to do that. And so being able to work towards self actualization is not for the weak minded, the weak spirited, the weak of heart. And it's also not for people who are struggling to meet their basic safety needs for food and shelter. I just wanted to say all of that as I work through my self actualization. It's very important for me to stay grounded with the fact that I am privileged in this work.
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah. Well, Amy, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And it looks like my work here is done. So I think we're going to wrap this
All
up.
right. Cheers. Give me a cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. And cheers to you, our podcast followers. If you love this podcast as much as we love
You
bringing it to
do.
you,
I know you do.
Amy knows you do. Will you do us a favor, please? Will you like it, subscribe to it, leave some comments about it, and maybe even forward it to a friend? We would really appreciate it. Pretty soon, we're going to put it out on the other podcast places so that people can find it more easily. But you are our early adopters. So thank you for being here
The
with us. You are
OGs.
the OGs, and we're really glad you're here. And if you want to do something for the pod, go ahead and share and like and comment and all those things.
And we'll
So
see you back here next time.
we will.